We're back with you here, everybody, on Gridiron 2021. Dr. Ron Poniewasz and Professor Larry Kelly educating the masses on Lawrence County football. Larry, welcome aboard again, as always, to Gridiron 2021.
Always happy to be back with you, Ronnie. Last week we called out Coach Mangino and Coach Belendo. I don't know. I said if they want to come on the show and they want to match me pick for pick, I'm not afraid of those two guys. I haven't heard anything. My phone hasn't rung. Has yours?
No, but then again, you said that we would be you called out those
I called them, and I'm not afraid of those two guys. No, I'm not. In fact, I actually called them both. Not only did I call them out on our podcast, I got them on the phone and said, "You're welcome. You're welcome to come and join us." Coach Mangino said, "How much does it pay?" I said, "Close your eyes and what do you see?" He said, "I don't see anything." I said, "That's what it pays. It's just a challenge." So we're still waiting for those two guys. I'm still waiting for them.
Did you have an instant dial tone when you told him that?
No, he just, he was looking for a payday, my man. He said he's in retirement, Coach Mangino. Yeah. So anyway, the challenge is out there. If they want to accept it, I'm waiting. I'm always waiting. Not afraid of a challenge, Ronnie. Not afraid of those two guys, that's for sure.
Okay. All right. So we got a few topics here to tell you about this week. We're going to tell you about a young man that had quite a performance for us, for one of our teams, Athlete of the Week. Then we'll have Larry's Red Hurricane Minute, Red Hurricane Report. We'll flow into another topic here on Gridiron 2021, and then we will close up shop with the week's football schedule. But first off, as mentioned, our top performance of the week, Athlete of the Week, Laurel High quarterback Kobe DeRosa, senior quarterback, linebacker also. However, he has been shifted mainly to quarterback these days. He's a 5'11", 200-pound senior. He had 6 carries and 113 yards and a touchdown, a 14-yard run in a 54-9 win over Mohawk on Friday night. And Larry, one of the interesting things with Kobe, being that he's a quarterback, every one of his possessions and every one of Laurel's possessions overall resulted in a touchdown Friday night, with the exception of toward the end of the game when the punt team of Mohawk pinned Laurel back around the goal line, and they snowed in the quarterback for a safety. So Kobe is, led the team right down the field each time he touched the ball Friday night, in addition to those 6 carries, 113 yards, and a touchdown.
Well, when you average 20 yards a carry, you're probably going to score a few points, and that's what Laurel did. I watched that game. It was on Lawrence County Sportsnet. Laurel is impressive, and this young man is especially impressive. He's a pretty good baseball player, too. I believe he played right field for the Spartans last year. Good hitter. We scouted him a few times. Kid's a player. He's an all-around athlete, and he had a great game in a really big win against Mohawk. Mohawk's a good football team, and Laurel needed to go in there and take care of business, and they certainly did. They left no doubt in this one.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, on the preseason roster, he's listed as a linebacker. That's more or less cosmetic for anything else, as he's mainly a quarterback now. He handles the kickoff and punt duties as well. Reason he was shifted from linebacker and is given that time off is they're running no huddle, Larry, and they were, they put that in the off season, worked on it all throughout camp and things like that. That's an awful lot of work for a young man, the no huddle offense, and he's grasped it very well. If you noticed on being that you watched the stream, essentially what happens is when the play ends, they get to the line and they're set, and then they all stand up and they look over toward the sideline to get the play. It's no huddle. I'm not sure if it's essentially kind of like the K gun from Buffalo Bills Jim Kelly era, or Oregon's no huddle back when Chip Kelly was there, but it is no huddle. They get right on the ball. They look to the sideline, get a play, and they go. They don't huddle up at all.
Well, it's probably not as sophisticated as what they run in the NFL,
right?
But the no huddle offense is an up-tempo offense. It doesn't give the defense a chance to make defensive substitutions. It puts the defense back on their heels. But I'm guessing that Kobe DeRosa doesn't play linebacker anymore because they don't want him breaking any fingers being the quarterback. They want him to be able to handle the snaps. I'm guessing most of those snaps are out of the shotgun, and I'm certain they want him to be able to throw the football. So that's my guess as to why he's probably not playing linebacker. But I mean, you see that a lot in high school football today. Everything that they tend to do appears and seems to be up tempo. It's a way different game than the game that I grew up watching, where everybody huddled and the linemen on the offensive line were toe to toe, and there was only one split out receiver. And today you can have as many as 5 receivers in the pattern, and everything pretty much is run out of the shotgun. So it's a different game, and they run it well. They run it really, really well, Laurel. They're the best team I've seen this year.
Absolutely, without a doubt. And Kobe has thrown 47 passes all season in 8 games. He's 29 of 47 for 469 yards, 5 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 72 carries, 656 yards, 9 touchdowns. So I guess my question to you, Larry, is it kind of a surprise with no huddle that they are as heavy with the run game as they are? Because a lot of times when you have no huddle, there's maybe a mix of run pass, maybe even a little bit more heavy with the pass, or could be a little bit more heavy with the run, but they're predominantly run. And hey, you can't argue it because it works so well. They have so many weapons, but it's just a matter of they get to the line and the other team probably knows it's going to be a run. They just can't stop it.
Well, if you got Luke McCoy in the backfield and you can hand the ball off to him, it'd probably be silly to throw it more often than you run it. And
right.
It's Coach Cooper out there, right? And Laurel,
Mm-hmm.
He was born at night. It wasn't last night. So if you can hand it to Luke McCoy, who's averaging about 10 yards a carry, and then you got a quarterback in the last game that averaged 20 yards a carry, yeah, you want to run the football.
Sure. Okay, Laurel is 5-0 in the Midwestern Conference, 8-0 overall. The Spartans clinched a playoff spot Friday night with that big 54-9 win over Mohawk. They can clinch at least a share of the conference championship Friday night when they play Elwood City Lincoln at Elwood City Lincoln. We'll talk a bit more about that in the schedule portion, but that's where Laurel is. Sights set on the postseason, but plenty of business left to handle for the Spartans in the regular season. That is Athlete of the Week. It is Kobe DeRosa for a fine performance Friday night. 6 carries, 113 yards, 1 touchdown, engineered touchdown drives on each of his possessions throughout the course of the game that he played. Athlete of the Week, Kobe DeRosa. Come on back. We have plenty more segments right here on Gridiron.
There's one thing I learned growing up around here. People should look out for each other. Be friends and neighbors that you can count on. So it bothers me when people who are hurt in automobile accidents get bullied by the insurance company. I don't let bullies run over my clients. I do what I was taught growing up. Step up, stand up, and speak up for those who can't. I'm Larry Kelly, and I'm a Newcastle guy.
Back with you here on Gridiron. This is our topic segment of our show. And Larry Kelly, you said in the Athlete of the Week segment that you watched the Laurel game against Mohawk, correct?
I did.
Okay. Have you seen any other Laurel football games this season?
I believe there was one other time that I was able to watch them when they were on, Lawrence County Sportsnet.
Okay. Your opinion of Laurel. Obviously, we both have them number 1 in the county in terms of our rankings from a couple weeks ago. Your opinion on Laurel as a team?
Best team I've seen this year. Not even close.
Okay. All right. Last week when we were on here, I had looked at the state rankings that were done by Penn Live, and Laurel was in the teams to watch segment. Not ranked. They were not in anywhere in the top 10. Farrell's number 1, Southern Columbia 2, and Laurel was in the teams to watch. And the rest of the week I kept thinking, there's no way Laurel does not crack the top 10. No way. They've got to crack the top 10 somewhere. They go out and smoke Mohawk on Mohawk's home field, 54-9. The rankings are out, and Laurel is still a team to watch. Now, I don't know who does the rankings, but if you don't have hair like this, get it out of your eyes, because they belong in the top 10, somewhere in the top 10. I'm going to give you one team, Larry, that's ranked number 9, Richland Township. It's a school from Johnstown. 2 losses. That's 2 more than Laurel. 2. And Richland Township has outscored its opponents 287 to 106. Laurel, on the other hand, has outscored opponents 343 to 62. They have wiped the mat with their opponents, and they can't get a sniff of the rankings. And coming from a media person talking to a coach, I know coaches don't really care about rankings, but you know what? That's wrong. That this team belongs somewhere in the rankings.
I agree. It's an oversight, but Ronnie, I used to vote on these things when I was a staff writer at the Newcastle News. I had a vote on the collegiate top 20 in the East. I had a vote on high school teams. And truth be told, it's a guessing game. You try to do your homework, but in truth be told, you're just guessing. Anybody that's seen Laurel play has got to rank them in the top 10. But, you know, you got guys from Harrisburg and Philadelphia voting, and they have no idea who Laurel is or what they're all about. You know, truth be told, Laurel's only played one team that has close to a winning. Well, I shouldn't say that. They have played 2 teams, I think, now that have winning records. That would be Mohawk and Beaver Falls. And both of those teams barely have winning records. So maybe that's what they're looking at. I think as a coach, you don't put much emphasis on that. I know my Shenango Wildcats last year, we were ranked number 1 in the state 3, 4, 5 times. But, I mean, I knew that that was guys that were voting that didn't really know. At the end of the day, the only vote that counts will be the vote that the scoreboard tells you who the number 1 team is, and they'll have their opportunity. They're going to win. They have to win the Whippeal and get in the state playoffs. They're going to have to get past Farrell to get to Southern Columbia, but this Laurel team is good. And I think at the end of the day, they will be a team that's highly ranked in the state.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know if you talk to somebody like a Coach Brian Cooper and you asked him, and rightfully so, he would say, Ron, it's today's date is the 19th of October. He would tell me it's October 19th. We still have 2 weeks to go in the regular season, a few weeks in the WPIL playoffs, and you know, if we're fortunate enough, we got the state playoffs. This isn't when he wants to be ranked, and I understand that, but you know, he wants to be ranked number 1 when all the dust settles. But right now, at least coming from my vantage point, this team needs to be ranked. Pick up the phone and call somebody in Lawrence County. Call somebody in Pittsburgh. We'll tell you how good they are.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably what somebody who's doing their job and doing it diligently might do. They might call the local newspaper and say, hey, we see Laurel's 5-0. You know, what can you tell us about them? But again, I think Penn Live does the rankings. And is it just the writers from Penn Live? Do they get input from other people? I don't know the answer to that. And again, it's not a big deal. Nah, it was nice when they had Shenango ranked number 1 in the state, you know, for several weeks. You know, that was fun to look at, and our players certainly appreciated that. But at the end of the day, there's only one ranking that counts, and that'll be the one on the scorecard when you get a chance to show your wares head to head against the competition.
Is it just better to not be ranked? Maybe it fuels their fire a little bit and just takes them off the grid a little bit more? Is it just better to?
I don't think so. I think it's always fun to be ranked. It is. And if you can get to a number 1 ranking like we did at Shenango last year, that's fun. I mean, that's good for the kids. That's fun. And listen, when we were ranked number 1, I told them, you're the number 1 team in the state. I'm a big believer in telling a team how good they are. And because I believe if you tell them that they're good, they will be good. And that's just my philosophy.
As a veteran, I fought for our ideals. That we are a nation of laws, that the laws apply to everyone, and that no one is above the law. So if you've been hurt in an auto accident, I don't think you should be pushed around by some insurance company. Not on my watch. I'll work hard to protect your rights. I'm not afraid to go to trial, and I've never run from a fight. I'm Chuck Garbett, and I'm proud to serve the people of Lawrence County.
We're back with you here on Gridiron. We're going to tell you where the teams play. This is our schedule segment of the broadcast. First off, Friday, October 22nd, and all these games are Friday night, and they are all 7 p.m. Chartiers Valley 1-2 in the Parkway, 4-4 overall. At Newcastle, 2-1 in the conference, 5-3 overall. Again, a Parkway conference matchup. Larry, real quick on this matchup, a big one for the Canes.
It's a big one for Newcastle. They're coming off a big win last week, a big momentum win, great game. It's a game that they have Chartiers Valley at home. That's a long bus ride for Chartiers Valley. Newcastle's riding a wave right now. I believe the kids are feeling a certain confidence that they haven't had in a long time. I like the Hurricane on Friday night.
All right, Laurel 5-0 conference, 8-0 overall at Elwood City, 0-5, 0-6, I believe, on a 23-0 or a 23-game reverse heater. Naturally, a 23-game losing streak for the Wolverines. This is a Class 2A Midwestern Conference battle. The Spartans can lock up at least a share of the conference championship Friday night. Would lock it up outright with a win, and a Neshannock, well, no, they can't lock it up outright. They can only not lock up a share of it Friday night with a win. Larry, your thoughts?
They're going to win Friday night. I think the key for Laurel is get out quickly, get a lead, get your starting players out of the game so that nobody gets hurt. They got some big games coming, and they're better than Elwood City. Again, Elwood City's struggling, but it will be Laurel 6-0 and 9-0 after the game on Friday night.
Yep. Beaver Falls 4-1 in the Midwestern, 4-3 overall. At Neshannock, also 4-1 in conference, 7-1 overall. This is Midwestern. This is why Laurel can't lock up the outright title, because somebody will come out of this game with just the one conference loss and be still within striking distance in the final week. Larry, Beaver Falls has turned things around after a rough start, 0-3. I believe they've had some tough opponents. Aliquippa maybe was one of them. Central Valley perhaps. They had a tough schedule there, and now they're back in conference play and looking pretty strong.
This is the game of the week right here. Beaver Falls, Neshannock. The game is at Neshannock. This is going to be a great football game. These are two really good teams. For Neshannock to be successful, I believe they have to control the clock. They have a tremendous offensive line. They have to grind it out. What they can't allow to happen is Beaver Falls to go on long touchdown runs. Beaver Falls probably has the edge in the speed element. Neshannock got to maintain their containment. They can't let Beaver Falls break them for 50, 60, 70-yard touchdown runs. If they can keep Beaver Falls within the containment, control the clock, run the ball, I like Neshannock. But this is going to be a great football game.
Indeed. Union 1-4 in the Big 7, 3-5 overall. At Burgettstown, 1-4 in conference, 3-4 overall. Again, this is a loser leaves town match. Union has to win their final two games and possibly get a little bit of help. Their last game is at home against Shenango, and Shenango got an upset win last week against Olsh down at Moon on Saturday night. But Union, remember when they upset Rochester and was riding high, and I kind of mentioned, hey, who knows? This could be a conference title type year for the Scotties. They haven't won since.
Listen, and again, they've had people injured, and they lost 3 games with leads going into the second half.
Yeah,
I haven't watched those games. I can't tell you why. Maybe it's just a battle of attrition, and they don't have the numbers. Look, Union is 1-4. They could be 4-1 just as easily.
Right.
Just as easily.
You're right.
I think they take care of Burgettstown. They're a better team. Again, if Union's healthy, they're a good football team.
Mohawk 3-2 in conference, 4-4 overall. Another good football team. At Freedom 2-3 in conference play, 3-5 overall. This is a Midwestern Conference battle. The Warriors expected to have quarterback J.C. Voss back under center. His absence was glaring the last 2 weeks down at Beaver Falls and then home against Laurel. Pretty much the offense non-existent in both of those games. 9 points against Laurel, and 2 of those points came on a safety, and I believe 7 points against Beaver Falls the week prior. So certainly going to be happy to have J.C. Voss under center, and then Mark Conti moving back to his normal spot at wide receiver.
I mean, in high school, it is very difficult to win when your starting quarterback is not playing, especially Voss. He's a player. I saw the game against Neshannock. He's a tough kid. He runs the ball. He makes great reads. Got a nice arm. He plays great defense too. So he's a big loss for them in the last 2 weeks. They'll be a better team with him back in the lineup, and I think they beat Freedom on Friday night.
Okay, Rochester 3-2 conference, 5-2 overall at Shenango, 3-2 conference, 3-4 overall. This is a Class 1A Big 7 matchup. Shenango started 0-4 this year, have rolled off three wins in a row, including a huge 14-7 win on the road down at Moon against Our Lady of the Sacred Heart. I know that took me by surprise. Probably took a lot of other schools by surprise and people around the WPIL as well. Now they have a shot at possibly getting second place in the conference if they win out.
How about those Wildcats, baby? How about those Wildcats? I told you, man, these kids are tough. They're mentally tough. Football's a tough game. You start the year 0-4. It is very difficult to maintain your focus, to maintain your mental toughness. Credit to Coach Graham and his staff. This team has showed a tremendous amount of character in the last 3 weeks to not allow this season to get away from them. Look, they got this rolling, and I think Rochester's going the other way. I like the Wildcats, baby, on Friday night. I do. They have it going. I was watching them practice tonight. A lot of spirit, a lot of good things going in Shenango right now. So credit to Coach Graham and his staff. When you start the season 0-4, it is a test of your character to see how you're going to finish that season out. And they passed that test with flying colors, winning 3 in a row.
Okay. Larry, 2 quick questions for you regarding Shenango. Number one, is this a classic case of maybe something simple like the light bulb just went on, 0-4 and, things are going wrong and losing games. And all of a sudden now you've won 3 in a row. Is this something is clicking for some reason?
Well, I think it's young players getting experience. I mean, they were starting very young players at the quarterback position. And, look, when you got a 9th grader starting a quarterback in a varsity game, that's a big difference than playing junior high football. They've made some adjustments, I believe, in their personnel and moving them around. They're using my man Hunter Lively a little more in the offensive end, and he's been tremendous for them. This is a tough kid. We talked about him last week. He's athlete of the week. So it's what good coaches do. They make adjustments. Good players, as they get more experience, become better players. And it takes a while as a coach to figure out who should be where and where they best fit, to give your team the best chance to win and be successful. And that's what's happening in Shenango. Coach Graham's seen the movie before too. He knows how it ends, and he got them rolling. He's got them rolling. Big game, but they're moving in the right direction.
Yeah, and the second part of that question, if you remember, the second game of the year, Shenango hosted Laurel. And as we talked about earlier in a previous segment, Laurel's been smoking teams left and right. Laurel only beat Shenango 21-13. So as a parent would tell a kid that's struggling in school, I just can't do it. This and that, the homework is really tough. But then all of a sudden a kid gets a B or something, and they know it's in there. They know that potential is in there. Is that kind of like a classic case here where second game of the year, they were right in that game, and the coaches could go into practice and say, you guys were right in that game with Laurel. I know it's in there. You guys can play hard. You guys can win games. Just go out there and do it. Is that a classic case of something like that?
Absolutely. Nothing succeeds like success. Nothing breeds confidence than to have success, especially against a team like Laurel. As I remember correctly, Shenango was driving down the field to score a touchdown that could have tied the game, and I believe they turned the ball over deep in Laurel's territory. So, yeah, I agree with you, especially at the high school level. Once you get success, once you develop that confidence, once you get that belief that you can do it, good things happen. My dad used to tell me life is a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you believe you can, you will. And if you believe you can't, you won't. I think a coach's job is to get his team to believe. And that's what's happening at Shenango.
All right. And lastly, District 10 action, Wilmington 5-1 in region, 5-2 overall at Mercer, 2-4 in region, 3-4 overall. District 10, Region 1, classification 2A. And this will be the second game after the Farrell game for Wilmington. So they certainly want to continue to build momentum here going into the District 10 playoffs, because certainly they're going to be in an odd role. They're not going to be the team to knock off, even though they sort of are because they're the defending champs. However, Farrell's right in that position of, the team to beat.
Listen, Wilmington's going to win on Friday. They'll beat Mercer. And when they play Farrell again, it will be a better game. I don't see it being a blowout. The coaches at Wilmington are too good. The players are too smart and too disciplined. It will be a better football game. It'll be a closer game. Whether this is a special year for Farrell. They got some special athletes on that field. Whether Wilmington will win or not, I can't tell you that, but I can tell you this much. It'll be a better game.